G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller and welcome back to the Principles of Training. In this episode we're going to continue on from our last lesson with the imported young warm blood gelding that had a few, as the writer described, porpoising issues and also had some leaning in, dropping his shoulder in and leaning out issues. And so after we got him relaxed in that last episode, this clip here continues on from where we left off.
I haven't noticed this at home, and I do start him at the walk on the buckle.
What about the trot on the buckle? What about the canter on the buckle?
I do not do that.
Yeah,
on the buckle.
so just wait.
Do you want me to ask him to trot again?
No, let's do what you were doing before.
Okay. And if he does do what he did where he wanted to kind of buck and do that, you just want the inside rein?
Just inside rein wide, no outside rein, because that's gonna block it all in there.
Okay.
So the reason, so there was something very important in what Kristen just said right then. She said she can't figure out why this is going on because she always walks him on a loose rein at the start of the session. And I said, well, what about the trot and the canter? And she said, well, no, I haven't done that. And so for me, that's a don't go to bed angry principle issue. If your horse can't walk and trot and canter and control themselves on a loose rein, that means you're controlling them, which means they've got some build up of anxiety in there. You know, you don't see a horse out in the pasture trot around and then can't control himself and just have to canter and run around. I mean, he's under his own control. So that's the principle of don't go to bed angry. The other thing, when you walk and trot and canter on a loose rein, you're also working on the choose where you work, choose where you rest principle, because that horse is going to tell you if there's somewhere that it really wants to be. So there's a couple of principles going on there. And then the third principle that's going on here is, like I just mentioned, we were back to walking around. We went back to the start, went back to the Donkey Kong principle and said, can we walk on a loose rein? But then, instead of just walking around, he made a beeline for the gate. And so Kristen asked me, should I trot now? Because we were up to the trot. We were up to the trot, but we're no longer up to the trot because he's making a beeline for the gate. And if you think about it, the only reason we trotted is because he wasn't attached to the gate. He wasn't attached to anywhere. He was just quite happy to cruise around this whole arena. So now we're back to square one. This is like the 300 peck pigeon. We're not going to go back to the trot yet. We're going to go back and get what we had before we went to the trot. So I'd probably let go about right there. Good. So now we're going to let him cruise around the arena again. And he's got to be able to cruise around the arena and not be attracted to the gate before I worry about picking up the trot. We then spent some more time going over the previous exercises until once again he had no place he needed to be at the walk. He just kind of cruised around. And once we got back to that point, then we could go forward, just like in a video game. When you pass the test, you know, you complete an exercise, you can then go forward. So it was then we asked for the trot. Let's just see what trot we've got. So just go with it for a second. And when he picked up the trot, it was a completely different trot than the original trot we had. It wasn't the worried trot. He was controlling himself. The don't go to bed angry principle was working. And he trotted around the arena here and kept his composure. And so you think, okay, it's all going good right now. But then he trotted down here, and as he got to the gate, he broke to a walk. So what he was telling us is he still thinks the gate's a good idea, because if I have to trot out here, when I get over there, maybe I can walk right there. So walking in circles at the gate right now might not be enough of a comparison. You know, before he was walking around on a loose rein, or when he goes to the gate and wants to be there, he was walking in small circles on contact. Okay, that was what we're initially doing, but now he's trotting out here, and it might be more work than being over there. So what we did then was, when he broke to a walk at the gate, we then picked up trotting circles on contact at the gate. So he's got a choice of one or two things. He can trot around in relatively straight lines in the arena on a loose rein, or if he wants to be at the gate, he can trot reasonably small circles on contact at the gate. It's his choice. Now, think about him going around here. How's that shoulder? Is it going in and out, or is he pretty straight?
He's actually really good.
He's really straight, isn't he? You know why? Because he's got no desire to go any further. He's already where he wants to be.
Right.
How straight is that for him normally?
Straight.
Is he there rarely? Is he there a lot?
No, at home home, he's here.
Okay.
It's out of home.
It's
that
out of
the
home,
wheels
okay.
fall off.
So when you want to let go when he's pointing down the middle here, like right about there, just loosen up and see where he wants to go.
Hopefully left and not right.
Perfect. So once he left this end, he trotted all the way to the other end of the arena. Didn't look back, it was all good. But what I noticed was as he rounded the corner and started back down that other side, his trot started to get bigger. And Kristen had said, he's getting faster, should I slow him down? I said, no, as long as he's trotting, this is the make the wrong thing hard and the right thing easy. As long as he's trotting, we're going to leave him alone. If he breaks into a canter, we would bend him back around like we did when we first had our porpoising episode. That didn't happen though, but he went down here and he came around that corner. He didn't go into the corner, he stayed off the fence, but as he got over this side of the arena, he got up against the fence. So then we went back to circling him here again. Once he circled there a bit and wanted to leave, then we let him go and he went all the way to the other end again. But something different happened this time. As he came around the corner over there, instead of being stuck against that fence over there, he changed and did something different and came a little bit away from that fence. After he trotted around in that corner for a few circles, he then came back out here and he came out in the middle, and so we decided we'd offer him a rest. So this is the first time we've used the rest part of choose where you work, choose where you rest. Up until this point in time, we've chose where we work and we chose what kind of work. So it was either walking in straight lines on a loose rein or walking in small circles on contact. Then it was trotting in straight lines on a loose rein or trotting in small circles on contact. Up until this point in time, he hasn't looked like he was thinking about stopping, so there's no use trying to get a horse to stop that's not thinking about stopping. It's almost they need to know the answer before you ask the question principle, but this time he looked like he was looking for a place to rest, so we offered him a place to rest out here. Now he only took it for about 30 seconds before he walked off again, headed towards the gate, but then he thought better of that, then he went over towards that corner, went to the corner, we trotted a couple of circles there and he goes, no, I'm not interested in that, can I go back out in the middle where I had a rest a minute ago? We came back out here, we stopped, and that's where we finished our first session, was stopped out here in the middle. We started out the second day getting on him out here and asked him to walk, and he turned and made a beeline straight for the gate. Went to the gate and we did a couple of circles there, it wasn't very many, probably 2 or 3 max, and then he just turned and started to walk away from the gate. He may not have done that.
Right.
But see right here how long it took yesterday to get him away from this end, and right now, feel he's kind of forward, going up there. So Kristen, what I want to notice here is what's different from yesterday. For instance, does he walk past these banners or does he go around them like he did first thing yesterday?
Right.
And right there he feels like he's just going to walk past them. He might look at them a little bit,
Just a little.
and he might go around them a little bit, but it took us about 4 or 5 passes yesterday for that to get to that bit. So after 3 small circles over in the corner there, we're almost back to where we finished up the second day. He walked all the way down that fence and past the banners that were on the end of that fence down there with very little work at all. And that's the Donkey Kong principle. When you go back to the start and keep going, it takes less and less time to get to the same place as it did before. Once he walked up there, he started walking down here, and what was really interesting about this, so this is the first time he's walked back in this direction on the second day. He walked down and came down about here and turned off, and I don't think he turned off here. If he was walking in this direction the day before, he didn't ever turn off this far away from that fence. So he then walked to the other end of this arena and just started walking like big looping circles up there. Was walking in big arcs and wasn't interested in coming back down here at all. He then walked down this far end of the arena, and so for safety's sake we thought we'd pick up the trot down there. And if you think about the day before, it took 45 minutes of work at the walk before we got to the point we could ask for the trot, and this day it took about 5 minutes of work before we get to where we asked for the trot. And if you think about the first day's trot on the loose rein, how anxiety ridden it was. The whole don't go to bed angry principle wasn't working yet, but we spent a lot of time working on that yesterday, and today our first trot is probably like the last trot we had yesterday. You're asking, aren't you? You're asking, aren't you?
Yep.
You're asking, aren't you? What happened to your explosive horse from yesterday? And also, where did he go to when he trotted? Down, there we go, he's breathing out.
To the gate. He's going down to this end.
Very nice. And he hasn't run off yet like he did yesterday. And I love that breathing out right there.
Now if he wants to stop,
I would let him for a minute. So how about that? On our first trot on the second day, he did 4 things he didn't do the day before. One was he trotted all the way to the other end of the arena. Okay. Actually, the first one is he was sluggish to pick up the trot. Instead of having that anxiety-ridden trot, he was sluggish to pick up the trot. So that's completely the opposite of what he was. That's number 1. Number 2 was he trotted all the way to the other end of the arena. Number 3, which is something he didn't do the day before, which was he let that big old blow out while he was trotting. The only time that happened the first day was after his little episode when we had him bend around and he was doing his porpoising thing, and we let go and he walked off and hung his head and did that. So he hadn't done that before. So he did that at the trot. And the 4th thing was he got to the other end of the arena and broke to a walk. Yesterday he'd trot down there slowly and then rush back this way. This time he got to the other end of the arena and broke to a walk, which just shows the whole value of the choose where you work, choose where you rest thing. This horse is starting to map in his head where he gets to work and where he gets to rest. So once he did that, then we just started picking up the trot at random places. There's not really any one place he's attracted to. We've balanced up that whole barn gate thing, and so then we just started picking up the trot in random places. Uh-oh, he's lazy now. Sorry, I've turned him into a quarter horse. See that? She's got to kick him in the belly to get him to go. That's funny. Now that he's nice and relaxed at the trot, now it's time to ask for the big scary canter, and as you can see here, by the time you get to that, it's really quite easy. So keep trotting down here, and kind of as you round that corner down there somewhere, just ask for a canter. Remember, no steering.
ugh, so difficult. Sure.
Here we go, and there it is. And he just should cruise around like that and not. So right now he's controlling himself. And he's just going to cruise around in an arc like that. And right now I think Kristen's got to keep riding him forward. Okay, Kristen, just sit. Good. Very good. So yesterday you had to, when he hit the canter, you couldn't bend him to a stop.
Nope.
Today you can use your seat and have him go from a canter to a trot. So go ahead and canter again. Now just hold the buckle. Act like you're riding Petey. There you go. Very nice. Love the cadence right there. Ba-dump, ba-dump. Kristen doesn't like her foot banging the fence, but I just love that cadence right there. And you see right there he's not dropping his shoulder in. Keep riding, keep riding. So what did he do right then?
He broke
Where?
before the gate.
No, where?
Where?
Yes.
Down at that end.
Okay, just come out here somewhere in the middle and stop.
All right. Where I sat the last
Exactly,
time to stop,
now
I
you're
see what
thinking, very
asking
good. Just
for.
go ahead and stop somewhere.
Oh.
Excellent. So, he, like I said, they know where they work, where they rest, and he was
Yeah,
cantering
yeah,
around,
okay,
and you said,
yeah.
I said sit, and you sat,
Yeah.
and he broke to a trot.
Yeah.
The second time he came around there, the
He's like-
closer he got to that point, he goes, that's where I got to slow down last time. And it's
Yeah.
what I was talking about. So you can see right there just how easy it is for these horses to pick up on where they get to do less work. He was cantering, we broke him to a trot here once. The second time we cantered around there, he got there, he broke to a trot on his own. And so if you think about that, I think the reason all the falling in and the falling out was because of those reasons. So I thought, okay, I think we've taken care of that now. He's not leaning towards the gate, he's not leaning towards that end. And so what I thought we'd do now is let's reevaluate. Let's have a look at that circle that we were struggling with the day before, the crooked circle that he's always had away from home. I thought we'd take a look at that and see how it was going. And you do that every day, then you're starting to create all that shoulder dropping in, shoulder running out stuff, and then you battle that. Whereas today, you think about the relaxation he's got today.
It's crazy.
So what I want you to do now, what I want you to do now is do the same. So here it is. It's about to start. Okay,
Right.
We've been going for maybe 15 minutes. Okay, but you haven't done any work yet, have you?
Right.
Okay. What I want you to do right now. Remember those problems you were having yesterday, and I was standing right here, and you were going around that circle.
Bulging, falling, bulging,
Bulging, falling. Okay, I want you to just do that same lesson you
Okay.
did yesterday.
Okay.
I forget if you're walking or trotting.
We were only walking.
Okay, show me that today and tell me if you have the same issues today as you had yesterday. So right about here was when his shoulder started running out a lot,
Yep.
didn't it?
Yep.
And how does it feel there?
It's perfect.
Okay, good.
He's light, he's soft,
Okay.
he's into both sides of the bit.
And so over here was where it started dropping in. That was the thing
Yep.
you noticed the most yesterday.
And I had my inside leg pretty much implanted in his
Right.
rib cage.
Implanted, I like that word, implanted. So how did that feel through there?
That was, I mean, this is so buttery
Okay,
soft.
so
and
what I
light.
want you to do this time is actually have him get off your inside leg over here.
Okay.
Yesterday your inside leg was was holding him up from falling
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Okay, right now he should be between your hands and your legs without actually using your hands and your legs. So what I want you to do over here is do a little leg yield on this side. The place where yesterday you couldn't get him to move out, and just, not yet, because it's not there, it's across here. Here you go, right about now. See how easy he can get off your leg. So how was that?
That was great.
Okay, perfect, good. So it's like you've taught him how to respond to your aids very well, but he's also got other things on his mind. And
Right.
if you can get the other stuff, right now, see if you can get him to come this way. So maybe use your outside leg and do a little leg yield in. And did he go off it right away, or was it a struggle?
Easy. No, this
Okay.
is the easiest he's been to ride.
This is the easiest he's been to ride.
Yeah.
Very good. So you can stop right there. And yeah. So once we've proved that the falling in, the leaning out was not really the problem at all, the mentally being somewhere else was the problem, then we thought we'd go back and just go through the same exercises over and over, the walk and the trot and the canter, and just keep doing it until he was more forward and relaxed. And once we got the forward and relaxed, what he started to do was really stretch down over his top line. Now, we didn't fiddle with his mouth, we didn't do anything, any lateral movements, any bend in his body to try to make his head go down. All we did was get him forward and relaxed. And then he started to really stretch over his top line, loosen up in his back and stretch over his top line at both the trot and at the canter. Once he got forward and relaxed and was really being good about that, I had Kristen drop the reins, put the buckle on his neck, and put her hands on her head at the trot and at the canter, because I wanted to prove to her that her horse was completely under his own control. He wasn't going to drop in, wasn't going to drop out, wasn't going to run off. He was completely under his own control, because I had one more little surprise for Kristen that she wasn't aware of. How are you going? Is this supposed to be this tight?
Oh, it can be looser.
Okay, let's just loosen it like that for a second. What about this? Is this supposed to be this tight?
4 fingers.
4 fingers. Okay, what if you had no fingers? What
Okay.
about these? Are these supposed to be this tight? I don't actually think you need this stuff. Ever ridden this horse bareback and bridleless?
No.
Did you hear that quiver in her voice right then?
Yeah, there's a big quiver.
Very good. Okay, you just rode around and you didn't use your reins at all to control this horse.
Right.
This horse was controlling himself. How much do you trust me?
I trust you.
Okay, good. We'll just sit there. Right now you're trusting me.
All right.
The first thing I had Kristen do was just ask him to walk. And once again, it's the Donkey Kong principle. We're just going back to the beginning to make sure that all the previous work's still there. Is he relaxed? Is he attracted to any certain place? And he wasn't. He was just walking around relaxed. He cruised around me out there. Didn't need to go somewhere else. And so once that bit was good, then I asked her to pick up the trot. That's good. That's perfect. Just when you relax here in a minute, he'll relax down. Right now he's a bit uptight, like he's a bit tight because your seat's just a little tight. That's fine. Just go with it. And let him walk if you want to. Like, if right then that made you pucker a little bit, just walk around and chill out. Like, if that was a bother to you right then, just get yourself... So you can see there, the don't go to bed angry principle also applies to riders. So if the rider gets a bit concerned doing the thing they're at, it's fine to go back to their comfortable place and let them regroup. You know, I basically just bent Kristen around till she relaxed again. Once she was relaxed, then what we found was we went back up to the trot, and when she was relaxed, as she was trotting around, that horse would start to stretch over his top line and you know, just swing his legs and loosen up on his back. It was really cool. And as predicted, the canter was not a big deal either, and you know, he started to go around and stretch down over his top line doing that too. So I hope you guys understand how easy all this stuff is, especially if you employ the Donkey Kong principle. And in an earlier episode of the Principles of Training, I talked about a young girl named Emily and her horse Archie at a clinic in England, that he was a runaway, very strong eventer. And in the process of 2 days, we got him to where we could ride him around bridleless at a walk, trot and canter too. And it was just starting at the beginning. You get the first thing good, then when it falls to pieces, you go back, get it good again, go a bit further, go back, get it good again, and eventually you can extend it further and further and further. So I really hope you've enjoyed this last couple of episodes. I had a great time with that lesson, and it really shows you the value of the choose where you work principle, also the don't go to bed angry principle, and also they need to know the answer before you ask the question principle. So don't forget to join us next time for another episode of the Principles of Training.